Hi, welcome to the 9th part of my 10-part tutorial series, Learn C++ in 2 hours. This video only covers operator overloading. So the term overloading means a method defined more than once with the same name but different signature. However, we are going to discuss a special kind of overloading known as operator overloading. This is one of the cool features of C++. You can see here many functions with the same name but different parameters. Operator overloading is possible for a variety of operators such as plus, minus, is equal to, insertion, extraction, and so on. However, I will only cover the insertion operator in this video. So let's begin. I am using the same example I used in the lesson 6 of this tutorial series. You can download the code from my GitHub account given in the description section. So here I have student class with ID, mark and grade. I have only created 2 student objects and printed their details. But you can see here this trivial task looks so messy. So here the objective is to provide a better printing technique using operator overloading. So rather than printing individual data members every time, I just want to print the student objects something like this. Cout S1 and Cout S2. That's it. But by default, operators work for primitive data types only. If you want to work it for the user-defined data type, you must overload them. So to overload the insertion operator, the first thing we need is the insertion operator function, which is ostream ampersand operator, insertion operator, ostream ampersand out, and some primitive data type val. This is not my function. This function has already been defined inside iostream. So there you will find a lot of overloaded functions with the same signature but different parameters. So you can have these overloaded functions for int, char, double and other primitive data types. But I want to have overloaded function for student data type. So I must write student and then ampersand val, that is a reference variable. I cannot use pass by value because I still haven't defined operator overloading for assignment operator. So I must keep the reference operator here. So this is a definition. Now let us implement this. So here I just want to print students ID, mark and grade. So I can write out instead of cout ID val dot ID mark and grade. Since it has ostream data type, so we must return out. This is also important if you want to use the insertion operator multiple times. Something like this. S1 and S2. So the return out would convert one set of insertion operator to a cout. Something like this. So now the insertion operator has been overloaded. So we can use it. Now we can have just S1 end line and cout S2 end line. And we can get rid of this messy code. Now let's compile and run. Looks okay. Execute. Done. So you can see here, this code looks much nicer. But note that if we follow the concept of encapsulation, we should not have this students function outside the class. So we need to bring this function inside the class. So just cut and paste it here. But another problem here is this function does not belong to the student, but it belongs to the header file iostream. So the student cannot own this function, but of course can use it. But technically, writing any function inside a class makes it a method. So to avoid this confusion and to indicate that this particular function is not a method, we have to use a special specifier which is known as friend. So friend means this function does not belong to this class. That means it is not a class member. Not a class member. Another benefit of using friend specifier is this function can access all the private data members. But in this example, we are not using any private members. Anyway, now let's compile and run. Looks okay. Execute. So it is working fine. So in summary, operator overloading functions are defined inside some standard libraries such as IOStream, and we can overload them to use our own user-defined data type for these operators. Note that operators can only be used with primitive data types such as int, char, double, float, etc. And finally, we have used friend specifier. First, it becomes necessary to indicate that this particular function does not belong to a class. That means it is not a class member. But we want to keep it inside the class to have a proper encapsulation. So this is the final structure of the class, which looks much cleaner.